Hey you two, how are you this morning? I'm coming to you today from the tail end of a cold, so if my voice cracks or if I sound a bit different than usual, that's why. I want to talk to you this morning about books that I acquired or that I received as gifts in April, because in April it was my birthday. I turned 35, and so I received some books as gifts, but mostly I treated myself to quite a few books. And as a general rule, I tend to not want to acquire too many books. This is something that I want to explore in a future video, but this month it was special. I decided, don't just borrow books, don't just read them as ebooks, get yourself some books, and so I did. And so the books that I chose for myself, the first one is called The Revenge of Analog by David Sax. This is a book I read as an ebook. I borrowed it from my public library at the beginning of the month, and then as I was reading it, I thought there's a lot of interesting material in here and I want to be able to refer to this later, and so I decided to acquire it, and I'm about halfway through my reread at the moment. The second book is called The Book Lover's Miscellany by Claire Cock-Starkey. This is a book I got at the gift shop of the Library of Congress in DC. I was in DC at the beginning of April for work, meeting with fellow librarians. And as part of our programming, we had a guided tour of the Library of Congress. I mean, what better thing to do with fellow librarians and to geek out at the Library of Congress, right? So we had a super interesting guided tour of about 2 hours. We learned about the building itself, the art that was chosen, the meaning that's chosen in the art. For example, they had statues of Minerva holding up the torch of knowledge. But since electricity had recently been invented, they decided that electricity would run through the building, and so the torches that Minerva holds up would be lit up by electricity. All sorts of details like that that I learned while visiting the Library of Congress, and I cannot recommend it highly enough to you if you're in DC, if you like libraries, if you like architecture, if you like art. This is really a building worth seeing. So after the tour, I checked out the gift shop and I found this book, which is a collection of all sorts of book-related knowledge, and so I really look forward to reading this. The third book that I got for myself is called Moody B, The Truth About the Drugs You're Taking, the Sleep You're Missing, the Sex You're Not Having, and What's Really Making You Crazy, from a doctor called Julie Holland. This is a book I read as an ebook maybe 2 years ago, approximately, maybe more. And as I was reading it, I thought, oh wow, there's a lot I'm learning in this book. A lot I was understanding about myself. And at first I wanted to take some notes, but then I realized I would have to transcribe maybe half of the book. And so I decided to treat myself. I decided to get it. I will reread it at some point later this year, and I will underline gleefully everything that I thought was relevant to me in this book at a later point this year. The fourth book that I got for myself is the bestseller Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. I've been looking forward to reading this for quite some time. It's been on my reading list for a while, and now I will be able to read and learn more from it about my species. And finally, these are books that I received as a gift from a friend I saw on April 23rd. He was visiting from Chicago, and so we spent most of the day together, and at some point he tells me he has a surprise for me, and he takes out these books from his backpack. And this is a graphic novel series that I've never heard of. I don't know anything about it. I didn't want to look it up because I want to be surprised when I read it. But I do know one of the authors, Brian K. Vaughan, because I read Why the Last Man from him. The other author is also Chiang, who did Wonder Woman. And so he gave these to me, and that was last Monday. That was April 23rd. And so when he took out these books, I told him, do you know what day today is? And I told him that it was World Book and Copyright Day, and he didn't know. And the tradition on this day, if you don't know as well, is to gift people that you love, your friends, your family, books. And so I thought it was an absolute delight to receive books on World Book and Copyright Day, and I really look forward to discovering this graphic novel series. So that's it for the English book acquisitions that I made in April. I will have another video coming up later this week, hopefully, about the French book acquisitions that I got in April. If you're in Montreal, don't let the grey, rainy weather get you down. If you're not in Montreal, I hope the weather is nice where you are, and I will see you next time. Take care.